1940s, the situation has changed dramatically.
This is the site of one of Dublin Corporation's biggest and more ambitious housing schemes. More than 3,000 houses and flats, all of them with central heating, will eventually house something like 12 or 13,000 souls on this site. To those of you who are on the corporation's housing list, this activity will be a heartening sight. For those who have the priorities and the means, for families living in overcrowded conditions or in dwellings which are adjudged unfit for human habitation, this great scheme, and others like it, rise like beacons of hope in a landscape which all too often is very short in that commodity.
One of the problems in this situation is the delay in getting approval for acquisition proposals, for clearance areas, delay in getting approval for building schemes, the tender for building schemes, for developing schemes. And very frequent this situation arises from the shortage of finances. In the case of Dublin Corporation, it was many years since they were able to finance their own schemes.
Now, all over Ireland, or at least in urban areas, there's a chronic lack of cheap housing for what local authorities call the working classes. I'm not talking about people who can afford to pay £3,500 for a house, or £5,000, or £8,000. I mean council or corporation houses, local authority dwellings, which, broadly speaking, can cost as little as 3 shillings a week for a single room to over £5 a week for a 6-room dwelling. But your chance of renting one of these homes depends on a variety of circumstances which are very carefully laid down by the Minister for Local Government. And they fall into a number of broad categories. 1, someone who's displaced from what the corporation calls a reserved dwelling. 2, families in overcrowded conditions where there's TB in the family, or in one room where children have reached the age of 12 years. This is what's known as sexual overcrowding. 3, families in houses which have been condemned as unfit for human habitation. And 4, general overcrowding. This means where there are about a dozen or more people living in possibly one